So
Catch.
this is black.
Yeah.
Will you ever be able to go back?
Probably.
That is the question.
Probably not. Yeah. Every CD going
That's where that
forward
saying
is
comes
going-
from?
Yes.
Yeah.
And welcome in to season 6, episode 1 of Unstable Discourse.
Yes.
That was guttural.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're back, and it's been a doozy to get started this season. We got cameras in front of us, and we're using a new platform. Took a little bit of tinkering to figure it all out, but I think we're good to go now. We'll find out after
Feels
we finish recording.
We're looking great.
It is me, Alexander Seminary of Tailwind Media. I'm joined by Ryan Curtis Fancher
Oh, good. Good.
of Unstable Disc Golf Gear.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Sean Anthony Callahan of
What up,
Dellwood
y'all?
Disc Golf.
Yes, sir.
Jason Percy Callahan.
Who told him?
What is your middle name?
Robert.
Jason Robert Callahan
Oh, I feel like my dad just yelled at me.
of Bag of Tricks Entertainment.
Yeah.
And we got our Alec Baldwin of the show, the most recurring guest.
We should have a Three Timers Club jacket.
We should.
Ooh.
Damn.
Really
Three
that
time.
up. Yeah.
Three time.
It is Dana Vicich. Dana, what's your middle name?
Michael.
Dana Michael Vicich of
DMV.
DMV? Stop.
I've got an appointment with you on Monday.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dana, you've been of many different things, of many different brands over the course of your disc golf
Mostly
career.
of Vici.
As of now, as of Vichy, as of now, you are of Climo Disc Golf.
That's correct.
Climo Disc Golf, and we are gonna get into all the things you're doing over there and all the things that are Climo Disc Golf, brand new brand of the most iconic disc golfer in history, and it's finally time to build up this guy's brand and. That's the Tiger Woods of disc golf, basically.
Long time coming. Yeah.
No doubt.
So there's a lot to talk about in terms of what you're doing over there, what those discs are like. We're going to get into all that stuff, and also the transition you had from House of Discs to where you are now. So a lot of cool, interesting stuff. There couldn't be a better guest to help us get the season kicked off. Thanks for being here, Jason. Why are the sunglasses on now?
Because this is the new me for season 6.
Are those transitions?
No, I
Okay.
switched.
Okay. All right.
I'm getting a Julian from Big Daddy vibe with your invisible sun. Now we can't see you anymore.
Yeah. Where'd you guys go?
Jay.
Oh, no, wait. I'm invisible. Right.
Julian, yeah.
But I wipe my own ass.
Julian? Hello, Julian?
Sonny, and we're here.
Oh, the glasses, I couldn't see it.
There we go. Yeah, we're back. Listeners, if this is your first time listening to the show or watching,
Sorry.
hopefully, if the video works out, a little bit of background on what we're doing here. It's a disc golf lifestyle podcast. We basically talk to people in the scene who are doing cool, interesting things that are not just about throwing discs. It's not about birdies and bogeys. It's about the lifestyle all around this sport that we all care about. So we love to have entrepreneurs on. We love to have brand ambassadors, people who are running events and tournaments and doing anything to contribute to the scene.
And when nobody else is available, Dana Vici.
Yeah. And also Dana Vicich. Because he's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. If nothing else, if you have a good beard, we'll let you on the show.
My dad says I'm handsome.
What does your mom say?
Rest in peace. It's okay.
God.
Wow.
It's all right.
What a way to start the
It's
season.
gonna be that kind of episode, huh?
Well, thanks for watching, folks.
Y'all be good. Good night.
Wow. Season 6 was short.
My goal for this season is to put my foot in my mouth as few times as possible. So
Great start.
Off
We
to a
got-
great start.
Great start.
we got that one out of the way. Not as bad as when I mentioned the James Conrad throw-in and how awesome it was while we were
Yeah.
talking to Paul Macbeth.
While you were
Paul
sitting next
in front of
to
a
Paul
live
Macbeth.
audience.
Yeah.
That was super great.
And he asked if
Super
I
great.
could mute his mic. Yeah.
It did not click for me at all. What I had just said was so off-putting.
An issue. Yeah.
In front of a live audience, no less. So that's a little bit of background on who we are and what we're doing here. Again, we're going to get to Dana and Climo Disc Golf. But first, this show starts with a segment called Fired Up, where we talk about stuff that we are amped about.
You know what we do. Let's get it fired up, y'all.
Yeah.
Who was
this
that?
guy?
It's new me.
New year, new Sean.
Yeah.
Jason got shades on. I'm saying different shit.
We're expanding our world.
I'm on a new side of the table. Dana's in my chair.
Oh, that's true.
Everything's so different.
Sean's gonna join a gang. Yeah. Prison, Mike. Prison, Sean.
The Dementors. All right, who's fired up about something specifically that they want to kick us off?
I've got something.
Ryan, please tell us, what are you fired up about?
I've told a few people this, but we go on an annual Dells trip, Wisconsin Dells trip, to Wilderness. It's an indoor water park resort hotel, and we stay for a couple days and just stay inside and swim and hang out. This time I looked up some other things that we could do, and I found a place called Wizard's Quest.
Go on.
And the reviews were 5 stars, and it wasn't crazy expensive, and it was out of town a little bit on like the older strip of the Dells. And I was like, well, this sounds cool. We'll just wander around this like fantasy fairy tale kind of building and like look at the stuff and whatever. It'll be something to do. It ended up being the highlight of my trip for sure. So to give you a rundown, it is I think they said 36,000 square feet, 3 floors. You walk in.
It's like Dana's house.
Almost the size of Dana's house, yeah. You walk in, they hand you a tablet of some kind that it's got this interface on it that is, it's got a little map, it's got a bunch of quests on it, it's a whole app built in for you, and you go in and you're basically in a live action video game. You walk into this building, and the first thing you see are 4 doors. There's the earth realm, the water realm, the air realm, and the fire realm. And you get to choose wherever you want to go, and they're all intertwined. And everywhere in this place, if you guys have been to Hell's Gate, there's a lot of Hell's Gate prop-ish type of things. It's along the same vibe. I'm sure they built a lot of the stuff with the same materials and equipment and everything. It was unbelievable. If they took Hell's Gate to like the 10th level past Hell's Gate and then made it interactive, this is what it would have been.
Oh, I would imagine so cool. More like a level beyond what Hell's Gate
was
does.
amazing. So you have this iPad and or tablet or whatever, and you walk around and there are tablets set up with little displays with characters, and you tap on the tablet that is displayed and it gives you the backstory of this whatever quest you're trying to do, and then you correspond it with the tablet that you have and you start going on this quest. And you go through and you have to find things and talk to people and do all these crazy things and find hidden doors and secret caverns and all sorts. It's crazy. It was so bonkers. Like the whole time my mouth was just wide open like, are we really doing this? This is unbelievable. And there were 6 or 7 times where my daughter had found like a secret a hidden door and just disappeared for minutes at a time and just popped out like rooms away and just couldn't have been having more fun. Wow. And it was awesome. It was unbelievable. So it will be an annual thing for us. There are like, I think they said there are 16 quests that you can do. We finished 8 of them. They give you 2 hours to go and do as much as you can in 2 hours. And we finished 8 of them, but there are levels to the quests, like how easy and how long it takes and all that stuff. And we picked the easiest ones so that, we could all get through them.
No balls.
Yeah, but we're going to go real deep next year. It was so cool. They had a snack bar. Yeah, balls deep. They had a snack bar that you could chill at, and they had 2 people working that were dressed up as wizards. So if you ever got lost or needed a hint or anything, you could go in and talk to one of the wizards, and they would kind of guide you through your quest that you were doing and give you a hint and, whatever. It was...
Were there other people doing it within that 2-hour time frame? It's not just you, right?
Yeah, there were probably 24 people in the whole place, I would imagine. Probably. There were a group of like 5 teenage girls that had dressed D&D style and didn't even take a tablet. They just paid to get in so they could take pictures in the place.
Oh,
it was so cool.
Make it your own adventure.
Yeah, it was so cool.
I was just going to joke that seems like a really good place to meet hot women, is like the nerdiest place you can possibly go. And then it turns out that there were young girls there.
Yeah.
You didn't by any chance run into Gandalf the Jay, did you?
I did not, no. But there was an old dude, one of the guys working there dressed as a wizard. I think he had done so much acid in the 70s that this is the only place that he could find for employment because he was way off the deep end. But, he looked the part. He was Gandalf. Wow. Like, in every way.
The acid use tracks.
Yeah.
being into wizards. I don't know why, but that feels like a connection for sure.
So
Yeah.
if you're curious, go look it up. It was awesome. We can't wait to go back
You said that was the Dells?
in the Wisconsin Dells.
All right.
Yeah.
Sort of a escape room meets interactive video game almost.
Yeah, I mean, it was an escape room. Like if you've ever played Skyrim, like it was kind of that
Cool.
vibe. But
Yeah.
Wow.
Videos you were sending, it looked incredible.
yeah, there was at one point there was a riddle in a book, and it said something about when the teapot touches the tea, and you're in this big giant tree, and there's a bunch of teapots and tea cups and everything around. But when you tipped one of them, it hit a little sensor, and all of a sudden this door popped open, and we were like, "Oh my god, this is like above and beyond." So
Wow.
it was, yeah,
So
it was really cool.
Listeners, if this sounds like fun to you, you should go back and listen to our Dellwood and Dragons episodes.
Yes, you should.
Season 4,
Yeah,
episode 3 and 5. I could be wrong.
That sounds about right.
and 18.
And 18.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you're nerd, if you get a little nerd boner from listening to Ryan talk about all this, we have content for you.
Yeah.
And
back and
look
check
at
it
how
out.
many views or how many listens those episodes have, because they're all Jason.
For sure.
99%. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
When was the last time you listened to either one of those?
Like 2 weeks ago. For sure.
Let's keep it moving. Who else? Jason.
Yeah.
Morpheus. What are you fired up about?
Thank you for asking. I brought some show and tell for our video
Oh dear.
streamers that are going to see this on YouTube.
Okay.
So it has been talked about a lot in the past that my favorite band
I know
is
what
a
this
band
is.
called Doves
Here we go.
out of the UK. 5 years ago, they released their fifth album. And just since we recorded the last episode, album number 6 is out. Not very exciting for a band to release a new album, but I ordered the CD via Instagram because I was like, that's just kind of who I am. I care about these guys enough to spend the money to get their CD.
Kids, that's a compact disc.
Compact disc, yeah. And I got it in the mail just yesterday, which is pretty exciting in Kismet. And I brought it for show and tell because of how unique it, like the packaging and the experience was.
I can't
receiving
wait
it.
to touch that. I haven't touched a CD in 10
So
years.
it came through customs. I have paperwork that shows that the CD actually had to go through customs. It was made in Germany, then went to the UK, and then I got 4 of these to prove like everywhere the CD had traveled all over the world.
You got to claim that on your taxes now.
Yeah, of course. I got the invoice for the purchase as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But the packaging itself is like a record. I own somewhere around 800 CDs. I've never seen a CD that is completely black.
That looks like a PlayStation.
PS1. Yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah, dude. It is like,
Not anymore.
well,
Okay.
yeah, now that's
Now
broken.
you got to
but-
rub toothpaste on it.
Yeah. But yeah, I brought it to pass around so everybody could like remember what it's like to hold a CD, and I've never had one that was black on both
Like-
sides, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Super cool.
And it's like super minimalist packaging. It just came in like a cardboard sleeve with the track list on the back, and it didn't feel like cheap. It felt like an aesthetic, like there were choices made about how minimalist they were going to present it as a physical media.
Sure.
Because they also have it, they obviously have it available on vinyl, but they also put it out on cassette as well.
Whoa, cassette.
Cassette.
Yeah, you can get like an all black cassette of it as well with side A and side B.
Track 8 is called Saint Teresa, and it is spelled your wife's way. Is that what she's been doing on all these trips? She's hanging out with doves?
Maybe
Hanging out
she's
with
been
doves,
releasing the doves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The reason that I wanted to get the CD is there are 3 bonus tracks on the CD that weren't on Spotify.
So
Gotcha.
this is
I
black.
love it. Yeah.
Will you ever be able to go back?
Probably.
That is the question.
Probably not. Yeah. Every CD going
That's where that
forward
saying
is
comes
going,
from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every CD going
PS1
forward.
games. Got it. Tomb
Yep.
Raider. Let's go.
But that's all. That's what I'm super fired up about. I just thought it was pretty cool the way all of this came in the mail and had the documents, and
Very
I didn't
cool.
expect a black CD as well. So yeah,
Very-
super
very
fired up,
cool.
and it's great. The music
Show
is
and tell.
great.
I have been falling a little bit in love with like physical media lately. I've been buying Blu-rays and buying vinyls. I don't know why. I
It's
guess
fun, man.
It is
It's
fun.
part of the experience. always has been for me. You know, Spotify's amazing, but I miss the days of like just holding that in my hand was like, it reminded me of the excitement we used to have back in the day.
sure.
A new album would drop. We
For
would
sure.
go and get it. You had to go to a physical place. Like we all knew that. We all still love it. We just don't have to do it.
The artwork too is like, it's just part of the experience. Like every
Of course.
time I put you know, one of my vinyl albums on, I display the artwork in, you know, right by the record, and it's like, I don't know, it just adds to the experience. And now it's like, that's a little piece of art that I see around the house for the next day or two while I, you know, until I change it.
Yeah.
I had not seen that, but I watched a lot of, you know, woodworking videos or whatever. And this guy was making a turntable console, and he had a little removable stand so that when you are listening to the record, you can put the album cover up. God damn, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's Liz saw something similar and brought that to our house, and it's like my favorite thing in our dining room. But there's also the benefit of if and when we lose the internet, you've got the stuff that you care about the most.
Yeah.
So I've been buying the movies and TV shows that if I didn't have the internet, I would just be so sad to never see those things again.
I'm just going to have to watch Fifth Element and The Mummy over and over again.
Could be worse.
Could be
worse.
worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem here.
Yeah.
All right, Sean.
Yes, sir.
What are you fired up about?
I am fired up about today being like the first of a couple of media things that we always have going on. Obviously, we're here recording season 6, episode 1. Amazing. But we also kicked off the Canyons log this morning. So we started doing that again.
Oh, dear.
Nice.
So today was a very busy day for Sheila and I, and also Ryan. He was there.
I was there.
We got to golf with Big Cat Ryan Stilson, of course, and we invited Andrew Lund, who has been a dog of mine for many years. More recently, last couple of years, we've been competing against each other in MA40. He was stoked to be on the show and was like, dude, I've been waiting, you know, so he was jacked, and to kick it off with him was great. Everybody played really well. Ryan knocked some rust off a little bit.
Cool.
He wasn't
Yeah.
feeling the game too much, but
I had not played since Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
it
I
was
got a ladybug on my mic here.
That's good luck.
Good luck.
Sweet.
eat
What
it.
up, dog? Happy to be doing the things that make it feel like just everything's coming together for the season. You know, shops popping off. We're doing this. We did the Canyons log. So just excited to be doing the things that make it feel like it's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow.
I mean, I almost forgot what it felt like.
Yeah.
When you messaged me and was like, you know, you need to play. Okay. I'll get up and I'll go play. And then when the round was over, I was like, what am I doing tomorrow? Because I need to go do this again. Like I had forgotten.
It's time, and we can.
Yeah.
The Canyons log it's a beast to edit those long form videos, isn't it? If you could see, Sheila's the one person who's not on camera right now.
Yes. She
her face
also
tells the story.
started, I'm going to do my best to explain. She started filming horizontally so that she can put things on YouTube, and we can kind of start generating more, you know, people going to that channel to be able to view that stuff rather than her just doing it as a reel, which doesn't always translate very well. So she's really excited about that. I'm excited to see, you know, she hasn't started editing yet because we had a long day today, but excited to see how that's going to look. Yeah, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite disc golf content I've ever seen is the
We've been
Canyons
having
log.
fun. And,
It's so great.
And this morning was no different.
Yeah, it's the little bits between shots and between holes that, like, that's what really gets me excited is the banter and dicking around and all of that comes along with disc golf. That's what I felt like I was missing, and I didn't realize it until this morning again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had it in 6 months. It felt like a pretty long off season.
Yeah, it did.
For sure.
Yeah, the friendship I think is what comes through on those videos, and that's something you can't really explain to people as well as you know, seeing it and kind of experiencing it. I've been talking a lot lately about how disc golf is so much cooler than people that don't disc golf realize. I think anybody who doesn't, it's in this little place in their head where it's like, oh yeah, like I did that before, or I kind of know what that is, and it's, I don't know, like the actual coolness of disc golf is lost on people who just aren't in it. And I think the Canyons log is this great window into why it's cool.
Cherry on top. I also got the birdie 2 on the starting hole, hole 13 blue to A pin. No big deal.
And 12 to B.
And the finishing hole. 12
Start
to
and
B.
finish. Yeah.
It's a poke. I've never gotten that birdie before. I've gotten close, but I was like 15 feet.
I got to spoil it for us. What route did you take? There's multiple routes.
All the way to the right. So whether you call that door number 1 or like door number 4, all the way to the right, kind of just flip up something there, let it ride, and a little bit of hyzer at the end.
Yeah.
Tasty.
It was exactly what
Essence to 15
how
feet.
you would have dreamt it up. Yeah.
Laquanda?
No, not Laquanda. More stable.
All right. Laquanda is the name of Sean's like favorite
Blue essence.
blue
yeah.
essence.
Blessings. Yeah.
Laquanda Blessings.
Mhm.
If you know, you know. Dana, what are you fired up, man?
Well, I was going to say something about music, but we've already gone through that. So I'm going to go a little more general. It's March. The weather's changing. The time changed. My wife's done coaching volleyball as of tonight. The darkness of January and February, where life was just dark and
Brutal.
cold and tired and all of those things. I honestly feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I have seasonal depression. Sounds a lot now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yep. You
but
did, dog.
Honestly, like getting up, it's a lot easier right now. And so yeah, I'm fired up about that. And
100%.
you know, the season's kicking off, so there's fun things to watch if you're into disc golf, which I'm into disc golf. So
A little bit.
yeah, weather and
me too.
all those things.
Huh.
Should we play sometime?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll give you another tip if you know what I mean.
Yeah, a lefty tip, please. Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to Liz about it today. She got home from work at like 5:30, and I was like, "You're just getting home from work, and look how much sun is still left.
So much time.
Like we can do stuff in the yard now if we wanted to, and like the day is done at 5:00 all winter in Chicago. So yeah, game changer. I think it's back to me now.
Hey, Alex,
Yes,
are you fired up at all, or
yes, I am. Thank
Okay.
you for asking.
go ahead?
I am fired up, and I'll be the second person on this panel of 5 people who's actually going to talk about disc golf and my fired up. I got to spend a little time this weekend out at the new Joliet course, the gold course. I still don't know what it's being called, so I think everyone's just calling it the new Joliet course.
Do you have a name yet?
I think the prison court, like
The prison
I
course
think
is
that's
the other,
like kind of the
Yeah.
that's the other like name that I've been going by for that. But anyways, there's if you don't know, there's been a gold level course in the works now for about 6 years out here in Joliet that is going to be very close to Dellwood, and it's just a stunning course, and it's stunning how much work has gone into it between Mark Grabavoy, past guest of the show, first season, Steve Behrens, Adam DeBoer, and a handful of other dedicated people who are just putting in like tens of thousands of hours at this point. The course is incredible, challenging, beautiful, and the thing that I was out there just to film, so I didn't get to play. I don't even play disc golf anymore, by the way. So I was out there filming, and
We could change that.
that's my other big goal for the year, is to actually play disc golf and stop making it just a job.
Right.
But hearing all the, like, Mr. B kind of surprised Mark with this tournament. He invited like all the big pros.
Oh,
of the
did Mark
area.
not know?
Mark didn't know this was
Oh,
happening.
that's
and
cool.
He did it on Mark's birthday. So,
I didn't know that detail.
Yes.
That's neat.
So we were there on Mark's birthday with all the sort of like bigger hitters in the area. And I was reminded of how strong the community is. Watching everybody there was so happy to just be standing around talking to each other and like analyzing every line and all the things about the course and showing so much love to Mark and Mr. B for what they've brought to everybody. And it got me fired up about disc golf again, and got me fired up about the people in this community. And that's what Mark and Steve kept talking about, is like so many people in this area have done so much for all of us over the years. And like, this is our turn to give something back now. And it's like, it just hits hard emotionally.
Yeah.
Super, super excited to actually go out there and play. Maybe we should, as a group, go out and do that.
Huh.
Say the
Could you
word, dog.
imagine?
Say the word.
And listeners, if you're interested in trying this course out, I believe it's fairly open. There's just a message you have to send to Mark or Steve and say you'd like to go, and they can make it, accessible to you. So,
Sure.
Yeah, if you're hearing this and you want to check it out, you can reach out to us if you don't know Mark or Steve, and we can help you get in touch so you can go check it out. Everybody should see the fruits of all the labor that's out there. It's incredible.
Definitely.
One of the things I noticed in that course, and that I kind of look for in top tier courses, is when you're in the thick of it, you cannot tell where you are. Like, you are so far into the course and so far into the woods and everything that
Where's the parking lot?
you couldn't tell where the parking lot is, how far away the rest of civilization might be.
Right.
Like, everything is non-existent while you're on the disc golf course, and it definitely feels like that through most of that course.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. That's one of the reasons I love Sandy Point so much.
Right.
Is because by the time you get to hole 3, you're in Narnia.
And you're just a couple 100 feet away from the pro shop.
Yeah, but you don't
wouldn't
know
even
it.
realize
Yeah, and I love that so much about that course.
Yeah.
That is a comment that multiple people made as well. Is
Yeah.
that
A lot of
What's
those
your-
guys came to the shop. Sorry to cut you off. A lot
Sure.
of the guys came to the shop and, we're just like, dude. So
it's
cool.
it's hard not to get amped up and feed off that energy when everybody else is excited. Like there's a reason for that. And,
Yeah.
all right, I think that's everybody's stuff that they're fired up about,
Yes, sir.
Feels like it.
which means we're gonna move things along to the old Callahallander rundown.
The old Callahallander rundown. What up, y'all? It's been a minute. We only have a couple of things to talk about. Just trying to keep it fresh, right?
I just, every time you talk, I look right at Sheila. And I wait for her
My
approval.
favorite thing. These two judging me constantly. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's all from love.
You only
Right, I know that it is.
got this.
I do secretly like
Yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is always funny.
Yeah.
Very short and sweet Callahallander rundown. Just going to touch on a couple things. Coming up, we've got the Fraction Run Cup 7 Flex start on Friday, April 4th. What was it, this past weekend? What was the last Flex we did? The Dellwood Spring Ahead Flex start. That was on May 8th. Excuse me, scratch that. That was on March 8th. We had 253 players. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Records broken.
In a day?
I'm 37?
Going to class.
In a row?
One day. The record was set at 251 back on 12/31/21. The Flex
COVID.
was called, it was COVID, peak of COVID disc golf. It was called 2021 Last Round. And the record was held at 251. And last weekend, we beat it at 253 with a couple of late shows. So, like, these guys coming, I was like, oh my God, guys, you're the two. Like, you're the two.
Right.
So, very cool. Let's see if we could beat that number again, maybe. We are doing, oddly enough, we did do the upper layout for Fraction Run Cup at that Flex. So, it was the tougher of the two layouts for the tournament coming up. And I always run these Flexes to have the practice, the sanctioned practice for everybody that's going to be playing the tournament. So the one on the 4th, the Fraction Run Cup 7 Flex start, is the lower layout. So maybe we'll get more people out, more than 253. That would be dope. Followed, of course, by Fraction Run Cup the following 2 days. That is on April 5th and 6th. Both of these events are on discgolfscene.com. One, you are not signing up. The Flex start, you're just signing up in person. So just come see us in the shop. And Fraction Run Cup 7, you are just signing up on discgolfscene.com. It is full.
To the wait list
You
at
can
this
get on the
point.
wait list. You
Yeah.
can get on the wait list. Typically, we
I
get
think
everybody
there's
in.
one master spot open.
Ooh.
There's 7. If my math is right, maybe there's 8.
Oh, I could have swore we were full.
Oh, maybe it changed, but
Oh, am I going to have to check right now? Full.
nice.
Including you. And one on the wait list. So, yeah, super full, but get on the wait list if you're looking to play. Short and sweet. What else? Sheila, we got anything else going on? That's it. Callahallander rundown. Done.
What you just sorry, I was zoned out. You just announced up to what point in the year? All your events?
First couple
April
of
6th.
events. Yeah.
Okay. So there's so much more coming this summer.
Yeah, that's the only
I
tournament.
mean,
we're
we'll be
running.
doing
This is just what's immediately on the
more
horizon.
times. Yes. I mean,
Gotcha.
I want to talk about like May. That feels like 6 months. I want to
Yeah.
live in the right now.
Yeah.
Love
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
Great goal for the
Yes.
season.
Live in the right now.
Hell yeah. All right, that is a wrap on the Callahallander rundown. That's all the stuff that's coming to you from Dellwood Disc Golf in the next couple of months. That is all brought to you, of course, unofficially by
Discgolfscene.com.
Dana Vicich.
Come on, Pete.
Come on, Pete.
It's only your third time on the show.
Remember?
Yeah. Only your third time on the show.
So awkward. Come on,
Ryan.
Pete.
Come on.
Come on, Pete.
There we go.
We got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
Wow. Do I
Just
need
a-
to,
just
Jason, should I leave?
Yeah, please. And
Gotta leave
take the vice off your nuts as well.
Gonna leave a trail of breadcrumbs
We had to
for this
squeeze
guy.
them just to get that out of them, for Christ's sake.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Hey, dude. Ready to play?
Yep, but first you gotta see how totally dripped out my bag is.
Don't say dripped out. That is an insane amount of pins.
I got them from Nina at Disc Golf Pins. These pins have Riz.
Okay, definitely don't say Riz. They're great, but why so many?
It took this many to take my game from Skibbity to Sigma. Now my disc golf game is mad lit. I'm gonna get so many good...
I'm gonna go play somewhere else. The pins are great, but don't talk to me until you're done being so sus.
Negative aura, bruh. My bag is mewing. discgolfpins.com.
And we're back. And it's time to get into.
What's that mosquito?
Yeah.
And we're back. So we've called this segment something different almost every season, I think. We have not discussed what we're calling it
On
this
the
season.
fly?
Yeah.
So I say we throw it back to season 1, the meat and potatoes.
A little throwback. Okay.
That's fine.
How
That's fine
about
for now.
how about the junk in the trunk?
I don't hate that.
In or and?
In, for sure.
In.
The junk in the trunk.
Yeah, we could call it the junk in the trunk.
Got
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So the junk in the trunk.
Just like that.
For listeners who don't know, this is the part of the show where we talk about the main sort of reason we're here for this episode. In the past, it has been called the meat and potatoes, the
Bangers and mash.
bangers and mash,
Mhm.
The nuts and butts.
the nuts and butts,
Mm-hmm.
the gin and juice.
Mhm.
Yep.
The junk. The trunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
You are the junk in the trunk.
Where's
That's
the
why I
trunk?
wanted it to be and not in.
I don't know.
The junk and the trunk.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
The
Right.
junk, comma, the trunk.
But you have to say the comma.
It's.
Sometimes she spells.
I'm
the
liking
comma.
it less as we say it.
We'll see what happens. It's the junk in the trunk for this episode. We'll see if it sticks.
Yeah.
But for the junk in the trunk today, Dana, you're going to help us figure that all out. We're going to start with your transition from being a House of Discs U.S. dealer into being at Climo. First off, what was House of Discs for people who don't know? Give us a little background on what you were doing, and then sort of the transition away from that. We'll get to that, but
Yeah, I might rewind it just a little bit further back.
Please.
For a long time, I worked for Discmania, which was owned by UC Maresma and founded by him. If you don't know him, he's one of the big dogs in disc golf, very forward-thinking, great guy, super smart. But yeah, Discmania Discs. And yeah, Discmania Discs was purchased by a private equity group. And along with Discmania, this group purchased the Trilogy brands, so Latitude 64, West Side, and Dynamic Discs. And then that also included Castoplast. So
I know that.
a lot. Yeah, Castoplast. Well, Latitude actually purchased Castoplast before they were acquired by the private equity group. And so those were the first dominoes to fall. And then joining those brands, Huck Lab and Hand-Eye Supply. And then the, what's the video game called? The disc golf video game?
Disc
Disc Golf Valley.
Disc Golf Valley
Mhm.
is within that. And then Discmania was the last brand that was acquired.
So House of Discs acquired all of those brands?
All of those brands. And they acquired them at peak disc golf. And
Gotcha. So I think I know where you're going with that.
so yeah, it was a very interesting time. Honestly, was excited and interested for something new and some more resources. However, everything changed rather quickly. Everything meaning the market, the disc golf market, the economy, all types of things. You know, we came out of that pandemic era and these private equity groups had purchased all these brands and thinking disc golf was just going to continue that explosive growth. And so
Before industry started to trend downwards, did it feel like House of Discs was doing well? Like all the brands were, growing, and like I'm wondering how much of the situation is based on the industry versus like, what they were trying to do with those brands.
sure, I'd put more of the onus on the industry as a whole versus like any strategic decisions
Okay.
and negatively impacting the brands. Things I would say from the investors to the founders to management to the people that they hired, nothing really worked out as planned or as they would have hoped it would have. And so, yeah, Discmania was purchased. We were the last purchase, and yeah, the plan was just to continue operating as normal. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
How long after the acquisition did it take for you to feel like it had gotten corporate?
Really? So I'd say it was in late fall of 23 when Discmania was being purchased, and then come that following April of 24, we were not closing our doors, but Discmania had laid off, close to 70% of U.S. staff.
Whoa! Holy crap!
And that was in order to
Brutal.
close distribution in Colorado, Wellington, Colorado, and take it to Emporia, which on paper makes a lot of sense. You own all these brands, you've got this awesome distribution center and all these employees, and you're center of the country. Makes a lot of sense, but essentially what was happening was Discmania was kind of being dismantled, because we were a company that if you were an order puller, a stamper, it didn't matter how long you'd been with the company or what your job was, you had a voice. Like you were in the room. We had weekly meetings, we had everybody, from the top to bottom was there, and you could share and you could give ideas, and it was a pretty special thing that we had going. And it was UC and Juho and in Finland had done a great job. Austin Montgomery here in the United States had just put together a tremendous group of people that we weren't perfect. We didn't always make the right decisions, but it was more than just a job. I would hear people say, "Hey, I went and visited your facility in Colorado," and that they would say that exact thing. Like, you guys have something special. This isn't just a job. You guys aren't just making discs and selling discs. Like, this is more than that. And so that was pretty tough.
It's hard for me to imagine private equity getting involved in anything that's cool and it getting cooler. Like, I think once private equity is involved, it seems like an inevitability that it's going to lose the coolness.
Yeah, it's just a numbers game. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing is it's all numbers at that point. You just have people dealing with profits, and that's the number one motivation for everything, which of course as a business, it has to be a priority. But if that is the only priority, the soul of what you were doing before is just gone.
Intangibles, man. That's at the heart of anything we do is intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just look at the profit margins.
God, that sounds really hard though, to see 70% of what had been built just wiped away.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. And then, there was a lot of outside of the disc golf industry, like high level people brought in to run the various brands and run the companies. And so good, but also they don't have they didn't necessarily have the experiences that we had, whether it was us at Discmania or the group in Emporia that had been there running dynamic discs and, trilogy distribution. So kind of came in and unfortunately had to, make some of the mistakes that had already been made. We had already learned lessons. We'd already done these things and seen it fail, or we've seen things succeed and then voice wasn't always heard. And so that was it was a pretty April, or I mean, even leading up to April, but everybody leaving. And then, April through the rest of the year was challenging. Mm-hmm. And as we approached towards the end of the year, since things were going poorly from a numbers standpoint, a lot of the outsiders that they had brought in, good people, lots of great people, they were let go because what they thought was going to be like major business and lots of money, essentially at the point and juncture for disc golf and for all these brands, it just wasn't there. And so quickly kind of went reverse to say, all right, we're going to bring back some of the old management and try to do things the old way or whatever the case.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, I'm sure people who got let go at that point, there's a certain amount of like, you want me to come
resentment
back? Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want me to help you now? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's nuanced. It's tough. It's tough. And I understand. Like it made on paper a lot of things made sense and a lot of the decisions made sense, but then ultimately the market and disc golf as a whole it just didn't work.
Did all the brands have layoffs of that like size?
Discmania took the brunt of it. Eventually Emporia did unfortunately see a number of layoffs of a lot of long-term employees. And that came later in the year, but that was a pretty rough stretch for Discmania to kind of just be dismantled like that. again, I understand it. It's just how things had to be. It wasn't what we were sold. It wasn't what the owner, the founders were sold. It wasn't what anybody had expected. So, you've got to pivot, and that's life, and that's business, and as painful as it was.
How do you end up getting hooked up with Climo? Were you out there kind of like putting feelers out to your network for new opportunities, or just?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, I wasn't putting feelers out. Like, I told myself I wanted to see it out through the end of the year with House of Discs to see where it was going, because we had, obviously had the big change in April, where I transitioned from a Discmania employee to a House of Discs employee. And then, we had that 3-4 months of management, outside management, and then they were gone. And then we had disc golfers coming back and managing the House of Disc brands as a whole. So I wanted to see it through. Honestly, it was sometime in March or April, so almost a year ago, or I was talking to Miles Parkhill, Paragon Disc Golf, really good friend and huge supporter of disc golf all around. Miles, good people. Your competition, I guess. I'm just kidding. But anyways, Miles mentioned, hey, have you talked to Bob Giulio at Discraft? He's wanting to maybe have a conversation with you. And I said, no, I haven't. So Bob and I got connected, and it was basically just Bob saying, hey, I heard what's happening, what's going to happen. Are you okay? Are you good? Do you have a job? Yeah, I do. And, and then we kind of, Bob and I.
Already a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, really.
Just somebody in business talking to you as a human being instead of
making sure you're okay.
Yeah. And Bob and I we've known each other. We've been around. We're about the same. We're both 41 now, 40, whatever. And
who's better looking?
Bob.
I don't know what Bob looks like, but I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah. Well, if you ask my dad. So anyways, it was just kind of a conversation, but we hadn't talked in a while, just general. And he said, okay, we ran into each other a few times throughout the year and had just a few general conversations, nothing really about, jobs or any of that, but him saying, are you, what's going on? You good? Yeah, I'm good. And want to see it out through the year. And then if it doesn't feel right or not going well, then I'll probably start to cast my net and see,
sure,
where I want to go or what opportunities are out there for me.
From a business, especially somebody who works so much in corporate, there's something I'm itching to say. And it's that the company I'm at right now is, well, I can't say too much, but I've been at companies that get acquired before, and it's tough leading up to that. It's tough doing the whole transition. And there is a sentiment in the corporate world of, and I don't know if it's a true thing or if it's something you just say because it's a smart thing to say to manage people. And it's that they say that the rocket car that breaks the sound barrier, there's a thing that happens where when it's getting up to that speed, right before it breaks the sound barrier, the whole cockpit starts shaking really hard and it gets really scary, and it's like it's vibrating, and it's right before you break through the sound barrier, and then everything's great. So it's like the night is darkest before the dawn kind of a thing. And so when you're going through a transition at a company, you're kind of like, is it going to get better? Should I keep sticking this out? Because if we break through this thing, then, maybe then we're onto something incredible. We just have to get through this really hard part. And I don't know if that's true. And that's just the nature of any endeavor, is that you really do have to get through that point. Or if it's just what do you say when you need to keep people with the carrot dangled in front of them.
That sounds like a gambling addict's mantra. Is just like, I just got to hit this button one more time, one more slot, one more dollar, and then this one's going to be the one.
Yep. Every day gets a little tougher, and you're just going like, it's got to get better. Like, we're going to break through soon. Yeah. Like, that's kind of what I'm imagining your headspace at in this era. Is that resonate with you a little bit?
Definitely. And there was so much change over, a really short period of time, from are we going to get sold to being sold, and then what does that mean, and then who's who, what's what, to shoot, they have to pivot, and they are gonna shut down our wholesale operation out of Colorado and all these things, and then to the new management being let go, to old management. It was just a whirlwind of like, what's going to happen next. Like, I didn't know, And,
not having solid ground under your feet in your career is really tough.
For me, like I put it all out there for Discmania. Like I believed in the brand, and I believed in UC and Austin and everybody that I worked with. It was a really great run. And so obviously didn't want to let that go. And then also I started to work with people in Emporia, and then new people in Europe that I hadn't worked with before. And so, just figuring out who's who and what's what and where we're going to go. And like, I wanted to be a part of, trying to bring it back and bring some of the love and joy back into the job. But it was a challenge.
At what point does it become, hey man, we're doing this thing?
Yeah.
Like, talk to us about that moment.
Yeah. So so it was the Friday of the USDGC, the United States Disc Golf Championships. And I can't remember if it was a text or call, but it was Bob. And he said, "Are you at Winthrop?" which is Rock Hill, South Carolina. I said, "No, I'm home." He said, "Okay." He said, "Sign an NDA, send it over to me. I'll sign it. We'll talk on Monday." I'm like, come on, man.
No information.
You cannot do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Bob, what are you doing to me, man?
Sure.
That's like a high school girlfriend saying, "We need to talk later."
Yeah.
No,
on Monday.
No, we need
And
to
it's
talk
Friday.
now. It's now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But Bob, you trust Bob, so you just signed it.
yeah, I mean, from March, April, when I'd first talked to Bob, like I started to closely watch him, watch Discraft, and kind of see what they're doing. Like, because I followed them working in the industry, but I kind of put them under not a telescope, but a microscope.
A microscope,
yeah. Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched them a lot closer, and they just kept hitting, doing lots of good things, and then I'm seeing that they're propping up the sport from the pro tour level. Like, they're sponsoring tons of events. They're out there doing the things. They're sponsoring more players when other companies are, pulling back. Yeah. And it's all right. This is a company that if they offered me a job, I'd have to think long and hard about it. And then here's Bob with sign an NDA. We'll talk on Monday. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was after a couple of sleepless nights. We got on the phone Monday, and he laid it out there. He said, "Hey, we've signed Ken Climo. We're starting a brand, Climo Disc Golf, and we want you to run it." Yeah, my jaw kind of dropped because, for anyone that knows disc golf and the history of disc golf, Ken Climo, one of the greatest players of all time, if not the, closely associated with Innova. Ken had been kind of gone from the game, more or less, minus a few appearances here and there with commentary or other random things. But yeah, I can't say that my mind ever went to like, yeah, maybe it'd be running a brand or, working with Ken Climo or doing, like, I had no idea what to expect. Also, because I've done a very wide variety of things in disc golf. Not that I'm an expert or great at all those things, but I've done a lot of different things. So it's like, maybe they're starting a course program, or maybe they're this or that. But no, it was just out of left field. We've signed Ken Climo, and we want you to run the brand.
Damn.
Did Ken have to leave Innova to do this, or was he already parted ways with Innova?
He had to leave Innova.
So before we start talking about what you're doing to build the Climo brand and what it all entails, I'm very curious about like why Innova didn't do more with the greatest name of all time in the sport. Do you have any insight into that?
I don't know if they could answer that question. It seems like nobody could really give a good answer as far as I've seen.
Maybe they just felt like what they had been doing was fine and there was no reason, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of a thing.
Honestly, I can't comment because I don't know. I'm not quite sure if they weren't interested, didn't see the value, or Ken wasn't. I think there's, in all reality, it was probably a variety of things from both sides is my assumption. I haven't, tried to figure out the answer to that. I'm far too busy, far too many other important pressing things that, but yeah, it was kind of, okay, guys, you're just going to let them go or whatever. And I don't know what negotiations there were or weren't between Ken and Innova. Whatever Bob pitched to him, Ken liked, and Innova didn't match or wasn't interested or whatever. And so, yeah, the time was
Gotta
right for
imagine
Ken.
From Ken's perspective, like, and I don't mean this as any disrespect to Dunapace, but like Bob's pretty cool. Like a guy like Bob comes to you and says, "Yo, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that," and you've not really had those opportunities. Like, yeah, Ken's name is on discs, and I don't know, I've never talked to Ken, but the word on the street is that Innova's never really had him too closely tied to the things that they were doing. They were just like, yo, we're going to put your name on it. And it's just whatever. Okay, I'll get royalties. So like when a guy like Bob is coming to you and saying, yeah, you're going to do all the things you probably wished you could have been doing for the last 25 plus years.
Yeah.
Who's going to say no to that? You know,
The interview with him and Brian Earhart was a pretty phenomenal
yes, it was.
interview. He was very candid about his views on what Innova wasn't doing and had not been doing. He doesn't get crazy detailed about it, but like he didn't really hold back on any of it. It was really great. A few of the things that he was saying was to have control over the discs themselves and making them what he wanted and what he knew would work and what would fly and what would sell. You could see the light in his eyes, you know, when he was talking about
we've
that.
all been in this game for a little while now. And, you know, Kenny has stepped out in and out of the game for health reasons or whatever, but there's been plenty of overlap in my time in the game where Ken could have been doing the things with Innova discs or talking about the product the way that I've been seeing in the last month. Seeing the video content with him throwing, talking about how they're building those discs, why the plastic types. I mean,
Totally.
it's
He could have
amazing.
had a brand for 15
It's what
years.
I've always
Yeah.
wished
Exactly.
I could have seen with Ken this whole time.
Mhm.
That should have been happening this whole time. It wasn't until now.
That's exactly what's been on my mind too, is like growing up, getting into disc golf at like age 15 and, you know, seeing Ken Climo's name on discs. I had no idea what the dude looked like. I knew nothing other than apparently Ken Climo is like a big deal in disc golf.
Right.
And, you know, it was years and years and years of being in the sport before I ever started to like see what he looked like and have an idea of like who he was other than just a name, like a stamp on a disc.
Right.
And that's crazy to me. So yeah, seeing everything that I'm seeing now on social media is like, it stings a little bit because it's like what could have been in that same.
What better
you know,
time than now?
Exactly.
Like,
On the other side of that
yeah,
coin is like, you have an opportunity to like write history a little bit. It's like, you know.
Yeah. And one of the things that really drew me to, you know, not that I needed a whole lot of pushing, is that it's about Ken, it's about disc golf, it's about his legacy and being a part of that. And for me, that was really enticing to be a part of bringing him back to disc golf. And I think that for me in my career, and as I mentioned earlier, I've done a lot of different things. Like this was the right time for this position, for this move. And I'll tell you what I said to Bob. I said, I'll tell it to you guys now. I'm built for this. This is building this brand and setting a strong foundation and being a part of it. This is where I should be.
Yeah, you can do it because you have done all the other things that you have done in disc golf. Like you literally have all of the things to be able to make that statement. That's not the case for a lot of people in the sport, you know? Like,
how does the infrastructure at Climo Disc Golf work? Is it its own entity, or is it just solely owned by Discraft and they get the final say, or are they just funding it, or like how is it working behind the scenes?
It's a part of Discraft. Okay. So it's a standalone brand within Discraft. So right now I'm the lone Climo employee, whereas we have, you know, there's a ton of Discraft employees and resources that I'm utilizing. So it's not just me. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes, and a lot of the people that are doing all these great things with Discraft, you know, now maybe a little, you know, 5%, 10, 20% of their time might be spent working with me on the Climo brand and building that out.
And how much time is Ken Climo himself like in the warehouse, or, you know, like working on that stuff? Or is he just tracking discs in the field and working on that? Or how much of the whole thing is he generally a part of?
He's been a part of damn near everything. And that's awesome. That's by, you know, in part, that's by design, and in part because that's what I think is right, especially for launching the brand and where things were with him and Innova, where it sounds like, I think I heard him say in an interview, like, or maybe it was a conversation with me, but like talking about the rock, the KC rock and the 8-time rock, and how he provided feedback. No, I want it like this, or I want it like that. And they got it right. And then, the next year, he wins. So they make the 9-time rock, and it's a different mold. It's a different rock mold. And then just knowing that, what he's said, or what I know, is that, he hasn't been involved and hasn't, had a voice in the room. So for me, one of the most important things was to involve Ken and to have his DNA all over this, because it's, Climo Disc Golf. It's not Dana Disc Golf. You can at Dana Disc Golf. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. This is Climo Disc Golf, and so from the branding to obviously the discs and the molds, like he's super interested in that part of the game. But even like the naming and everything, between myself, Bob, and some others, we've brainstormed. But a lot of the stuff, I've brought to the table and said, I think this is what we should call this or that, and it all runs through Ken.
I'll make a correction. Dana hits me up, then I let him know my ideas. Then he brings those ideas,
the puppet master,
back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
just so we're clear.
And then Sean calls Jason.
Is that how these leaks are happening?
Yeah.
Dude, it's Jay the whole time.
Yeah.
Holy
I
shit.
am pretty leaky.
Follow the Toleen Instagram account. All the reels are coming out of there.
Yeah. So let me my limited time with you, Dane, is you are very behind the scenes in the world of disc golf. And it sounds like you've seen the peaks and now have seen a valley as well. So you've kind of run the gamut of the possibilities of what's happening behind the scene in disc golf. What's different about Climo Disc Golf that has your appeal? How is this not just more of the same with another professional's face on it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I kind of go back to what I said earlier, is it's about Ken and preserving and enhancing his legacy versus, yes, it's a business, but first and foremost, it's about Ken Climo and what he's done for disc golf and making sure that that's not forgotten. Mm-hmm. And so giving him what's due and what's right. And so, yeah, we need to sell discs and make money because it's a business. But first, let's take care of Ken. Let's make sure he's involved. Let's make sure he's taken care of and happy and involved in disc golf where he wants to be involved, whether that's playing a huge role in making the discs or picking the logos or, the names or whatever it is, like making sure Ken feels involved and taken care of and is happy. And then ultimately, like, the disc golf world has a Climo disc that they can, if they're interested in, they can try out.
We've gotten the prototypes. We've just seen the first runs.
Mm-hmm.
I have generally taken the stance that a lot of Discraft plastic feels like melted down He-Man and McDonald's Happy Meal toys.
That's such a bizarre thing.
And
sometimes
it has become a lot less of that as the years have progressed. But 10 years ago, the plastic was just not to my liking, right? Not that they were doing anything wrong. I just didn't like it. These Climo discs feel a lot different to me. They feel a lot better to me. I'm more used to, like, I'm a Swedish plastic guy, right? And these feel a lot gummier and more
tackier.
More appealing to
slick.
me.
Yeah.
What is different about the plastics and the discs than the normal Discraft? Or is it all the same and I'm just full of shit? I don't know.
Well, you're full of shit.
Okay.
First. Second, these blends and then molds are made to Ken's wishes and liking. And he right now prefers a slightly softer plastic. And so what we've done is work with the blends that Discraft has and then tweak them to Ken's specifications and then doing a little something different with the mold itself, where they're coming out almost old school Castoplast or even new school. Like I think that's probably the best comp that I have.
True. Yeah.
Like, so if you're like a Discraft head and you love Discraft plastic and stuff, the Climo plastic is nothing like what you're going to see from Paul Macbeth line, any of their players, signature discs, any of that. And so if that's kind of cool if you're a Discraft head, and if you're a Discraft hater or you're not a fan,
as he gestures to Rod,
I don't hate.
I know
it wasn't my thing.
If their plastic isn't your thing because it's too stiff or slick or whatever, because that's what a lot of the pros like and want.
Yeah.
it's something different. It's coming out of Wixom, Michigan. It's made in the Discraft factory. It's their own blends, their own molds, and again, all made to what Ken wants, what he feels, what he wants to feel in his hand, and what he ultimately wants to throw. So,
do you think you will bag any of the stuff?
I'm bagging the stuff. I
Not
think
because you have to, but like, will you actually throw it and use it? Is it to your liking and your style, or?
Yeah, no, good question. So right now we have three molds out: putter, a mid, and then a distance driver. The putter is called the Champ, and that's a beaded putter. So I'm coming off putting with the P1. I putted with the P1X. I putted with the P2, and for me, switching over to a beaded putter, whatever. Like, it's putting. It's lower profile. If it was a deep dish, I might have a problem with it. But switching over, putting is mostly mental, and then just building repetition. So to switch putters isn't for me a big deal, as long as I have something that feels okay in my hand. And the Champ does. It's not like a KC AVR, which is something that I've seen from the internet. It's just a KC AVR, a Rock, and a Wraith. Whereas the putter, the Champ is, it's similar to a big bead, but I'd actually say it's closer to a Discmania P1X, and even maybe a little more lower profile than a P1X. Like P1X, a lot of them are deeper dish, where I think the Champ, these first runs molded up a little more shallow, which is really not, like, feels really good in the hand. It's throwable if you want to, grip and rip it, or, putting, whatever. And then the mid, the Bel Air is a beaded mid range. I'd say that its best comp is like, it flies like a buzz, but it has a bead. Or you could comp it to a Rock. And then the Speed 11 is the Skyway, and that's it's just middle of the road distance driver. Just a good, what I said on one of the promos, it's great for a variety of arm speeds. Like, I have mid 400 power, and I can throw it flat and get a nice S flight, or I can throw it on a hyzer and have it pop up and ride. But I
really liked, there was a video of him and, it was in that Brian Earhart interview when they were in the indoor soccer field.
Oh yeah.
And he's throwing that specific disc, and he says, I'm going to give it this and this and this angle. And he tries to turn it over and doesn't quite get it. And it just kind of hyzers out. And he was like, And then he throws it again, and it annies and it sails, and it flexes all the way through. And it was like, holy shit, that was the same disc. That's crazy that, just a little bit of tweaking could make it fly in those completely opposite lines. It looked really neat to throw.
Yeah. You need to be the tester, Rye, of all of us.
Oh,
you're the guy that throws all the different stuff in the bag.
That's true.
I have
that's
a contract.
That's true.
I'm exclusively Tasmanian.
Of course,
so
as an ambassador. Yeah.
But you have to, you got to test this stuff out.
Yeah.
I feel like that putter's right in your wheelhouse.
It is. The putter feels great.
All of them.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. I will. I have all three now, so I'll
and I have to say, like, all the, like you said, internet comparisons. Oh, it's just AVR Rock Wraith. No. First and foremost, but to compare it to KC, like the texture of the Champ is that of a putter that feels good to the majority of my customers. Like, no one is coming in and ever going, can you make it slicker? Like a KC Pro AVR is like super slick, doesn't have the touch, doesn't have that like tack that most people are looking for, but the Champ does. And the major line blend is just like, Ken, keep it, whatever you're doing, keep it up. If that's what you like, I think a lot more people like that plastic. You mentioned pros wanting stiffer blends. Well, that's less than 1% of people that are buying discs. So if you really want to please the masses and speak to the people, make the molds that work for what you want, but also keep in mind that, they're throwing it at half the arm speed as most people. So.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to note about the Climo brand is, like, our goal is to make throwable discs.
Right.
Ken is 56, he'll be 57 later this month. Arm speed is slowing down.
Sure.
My arm speed is also slowing down, so I'm happy for more throwable discs.
Totally.
And even the softer stuff, I feel like you can get a better grip and get more rotations on it, and then ultimately a better flight or longer flight. So, but yeah, Ken has got, like, when that guy has a disc in his hand or he's talking disc golf, he lights up. Like that's where he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's been super cool. And you mentioned the Brian Earhart and Jomez. That if you haven't watched it, it was just really well done.
Yeah, it definitely humanizes
phenomenal.
him as well. Yeah. One of the things that struck me a long time ago about this brand that makes me feel like it's going to be successful and that you are in 100% and you are genuine about your excitement and your vision for Climo Disc Golf is we were talking at Hell's Gate during one of the Dellwood things, and you were super excited about the molds that you were showing us. You had the prototypes. And then you said the phrase, and I'm not just drinking the Kool-Aid. And it's so easy to be in the position that you are, getting the call by Bob and just being dragged into this, thinking, oh my God, this is a dream of mine, and just being sucked down the rabbit hole of this is the greatest thing that could have ever happened. But you saying like, these are great, and I understand that I could be drinking the Kool-Aid, but I am not, and I'm taking the perspective of like really getting into understanding how this is working, and I'm very excited about it. That it makes me super excited about this brand.
Yeah.
So
The first time I heard you say that it's about securing the legacy for Ken, that statement was the thing that made me fall in love with the concept. I didn't get it until I heard that. And I didn't think of it that way because I think that we're kind of trained within the industry that just like, everybody sees it year after year, another brand comes along. Everybody's got the new thing that we should all be using. But, I feel like that's kind of like been done so many times at this point that it's difficult to hear another brand coming on the market. Everybody kind of goes, oh, okay. Right. But then once you hear the statement that you said about, securing the legacy for Ken, like him having what he should have always had. And that to me is like, yes, that is why you do what you guys are doing. So
it's a real symbol to me that you have your finger on the pulse of what it means to build a brand, because everybody says, people don't buy your product. They buy why. They buy why that product exists, and leading with because Ken's legacy and making sure that Ken is involved in every aspect of it and he's happy with it. Focusing on that's a why that everybody can get behind. And, everything else falls in line. If you're following a North Star that people can get behind, I don't see how it could not work out.
Right.
Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah.
So we've got Skyway, the driver, the 11-speed stable driver. We've got Bel Air, the stable mid. We've got the Champ we talked about. What else can we look for in the future? I know you've dropped some names on me. Like what else can we look for coming up?
So real quick, the names, that's been super fun to like build a brand and like come up with names. Like for me, and I think we probably if you guys know, I don't remember a lot of things about the podcast and what I've said and done. But I go back to like the Roaming Thunder and like why that was important to me and meaningful. And so like I wanted to bring that to the Climo brand and not just have names that are, pulled out of the sky, which is fine. But all the names are, have been carefully chosen, with the major line being the top end plastic. Major is the highest, tier of event that you can win. And then the next plastic that we'll have, so that major line is like an opaque premium. The best comps would be for Discraft ESP, Innova Star, S line. And then, for that Z or Champion or C line, we're going to call that the Victory line. And then the base plastic is the Trophy line. So kind of tiers, the major and then the Victory and then the Trophy line. So I was really pleased with how that all worked out. And then the names of the discs are all kind of like tied to Ken in various ways. Ken is a lifelong resident of Clearwater, Florida. His nickname, if you don't know, is the Champ. So, building, the putter around his name made a ton of sense. And I thought that was great. And then the Bel Air, he grew up on Bel Air Road. The first, he first played golf at the Bel Air Golf Club or Bel Air something, ball golf. And then the Skyway, it's the Skyway Bridge from, that connects like Tampa and Clearwater and all of that. So all the names are ultimately going to be tied to Ken. And so that's been fun to kind of like try to, from, my corner of the world and here in Illinois and far from Ken and all of that, like to figure out, what, names that make sense and then that that are interesting also. And so we've got the first 3. The next one is the Osprey, and that is going to be a speed 10, and it's going to be an understable thrower. So for me, I've been testing it quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I've got to put a pretty stiff hyzer on it. Ryan, stiff hyzer.
Like good. The amount of pause there.
He looked at me hard.
Yeah.
Like really,
really deep
and
stiff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not built for me, not built for headwinds, but a very throwable disc.
That's fun.
And honestly, we had hoped to release that earlier, but we weren't able to get the weights down. And that's one of the other things that is important for the Climo brand, is like for the drivers, at least, to being able to scale down in weight. So some molds, it's easier to get 150 class, 160s. So the Osprey kind of tinkered and worked on that mold for a while. And I think we've got it in a place where we want it to be. I'm not sure if we can get into 150 class, but I think we're getting into the 160s. So that's
cool.
That's great. So that one, the hope is we'll release the prototype version of that early April. And my intent is to put that out into the wholesale network, where we're just kicking that off with the first runs. We sold those at wholesale just to brick and mortar stores for in-store sales only. So that's another thing that I wanted to do, was to step up and support brick and mortar shops, not just because, Sean and Sheila, that I love and respect them and what they do, but the disc golf shop, it's so important for disc golf. It's a place to go. It's a vibe. It's a scene. It's, they're doing the thing. And so oftentimes what I've seen and what I've learned and experienced, and also, probably been on the other side of, is, the manufacturers sometimes are taking, making discs and selling them direct to consumer. And so the retailers specific, and especially the brick and mortars, kind of feel left out when they're the ones out on the front lines, like introducing people to the sport, doing all the things that make disc golf go. So I wanted to support the brick and mortars, B, get our feet under us, like not flood the market with tons and tons of discs right off the bat, kind of ease into it. And now that we've done that with the first runs, so if you're interested, head out to your local brick and mortar shop, or we are selling them from the Climo Disc Golf store, climodiscgolf.com. But I highly encourage you to go to a shop and buy a disc, or buy a Climo disc, or any disc. Bring cookies.
Yeah, that always helps.
Just support your local shops. So, but yeah, the Osprey, I'm hoping that we're able to release that both wholesale and then direct to consumer sometime in early April.
Sick.
Mm-hmm. You got them at the shop?
Oh yeah, we got all of them. Yeah, we've had them at the shop. They released on the 11th.
3/11.
Yeah,
Tuesday. I'm ready.
Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
I'm ready to make changes.
All at the shop. You got to come feel them. I mean, like we said, it's
like I said, my goal is to fall back in love with playing disc golf this year, and maybe some exciting new plastic could. Could help.
People that do it constantly, so
yeah,
just come to the place.
Will do. So we're getting close to time, but there's one other question I wanted to touch on before we hand the controls over to Jason for the return of the trivia portion of the night.
The trivia portion of the night.
Very excited for that. But my question is a combination of two different questions that Sheila provided. And it's about working with Ken, who's from a different generation than you. And, building a brand is so much about having your finger on the pulse of like what's happening with content and media. So I guess I'm curious, what is it like working with Ken in that regard? Like, is he looking to you to kind of tell him what is the move here, content wise and sort of, brand strategy wise, or is it a good mix of you two both putting ideas in and you feel like he knows the right direction for us to go? Or talk about the dynamic between you two and figuring those things out.
Yeah, more so it's myself or Shane, who's the Discraft marketing director, we're working together, and then obviously Bob. We're kind of putting our heads together and coming up with ideas, and then bringing them to Ken, or I'm bringing ideas to Ken, or I'm not saying I'm Ken's agent or anything, but lots of opportunities for Ken are now coming to me.
And you're filtering through them.
They're filtering through me, so I'm bringing them to Ken, and it may not have anything to do with Climo Disc Golf, but I think part of the success of Climo Disc Golf is opportunities for Ken to be back in disc golf in a meaningful way, and not just at a tournament selling discs. Like, I think for this to be as successful as it can be, is we need to build a strong foundation for the brand through Ken Climo as a person, and Ken Climo in the sport, and him being involved, whether that's, playing, he played in a flex start. He's playing in 4 Climo launch series flex starts around Florida, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He hasn't been able to play due to injury, so 1-round flexors are actually perfect for him, or bringing him commentary opportunities or whatever it might be. So Ken's not necessarily saying, all right, I think we should do this. It's more so like, I'm kicking the can around, I'm calling Sean, or I'm talking to Bob, or talking with Shane, and we're coming up with ideas, and or they're coming to us, and then kind of pitch it to Ken and say, all right, can you make this happen, or can you do this? And so yeah, it's been mostly where things are coming from, is it's derived whether through me or the Discraft team of Bob, maybe Mike Wagner, of Shane.
It's got to be super fun for you to get to a point with any idea where you're like, ooh, this is going to be awesome. Can't wait to like pitch it to Ken and then see how he reacts to it. Like, that's got to be a fun process for you to.
Right.
Yeah, Ken doesn't
I'm imagining just every night you're laying in bed at the end of the day going, this is what I've taken this to. I am the dude that takes the things to the GOAT. Like, is that you just every day at this stage? Like, are you still in the honeymoon phase of this all, or like, is it set in?
I think it's moved from the honeymoon to,
let's get to work.
I mean, there's just a lot to do and a lot to consider. And so, as I said earlier, I'm the lone employee, however, lots of resources, but like, I'm, in a lot of cases directing the resources and saying like, hey, we need this, or we need that, or let's do this, and how do we execute it? And so, and then also launching a wholesale program. Right. That's in itself just a ton of work. And then we're not even talking about the direct to consumer side, and then the opportunities side, or the content side. So I'm, also writing articles and doing lots of things. So I'm trying to, at the end of the day, like, if I can say, all right, I made some good moves or good decisions, or, pushed us a little bit further along, I'm good. But yeah, my kids keep me up all night. So I'm always laying awake in the middle of the night, thinking of, what I said, what I did, or what I should do, or we should do. And then, ultimately, like, I think one of my skills, if I had to pat myself on the back or say I was good at something, is I feel like I can decipher what will work or what won't work. I don't necessarily have, like, I can't always put the full plan together, but if I can usually work through things and say, yes, this will be well received, or this won't. And then, all right, if it won't, what can we do, or what can I do to make it well received, or make it a successful campaign or opportunity for Ken, or how do I pitch this to Ken? Because a lot of this for Ken, we got to think about Ken. He's going from 0 essentially to 100.
Right. Right.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Like, the spotlight is back on him. Yeah. And so that's a chance, that's something to keep in mind too, is like, and I almost feel bad because lots of opportunities are coming, but that means I'm like always bringing things to Ken. And there's, sometimes it doesn't work because of scheduling or because of this. And like, so it doesn't
feel like, I don't know Ken, but like, it doesn't feel like he's coming to you and saying, I've got a great idea for a reel or a TikTok. Like, that's just not how his brain has got to work.
Right. Yeah. But
maybe in a time in Ken's life too, where he like probably wants to chill a little bit. Like, he's going to be 57 at the end of the month, like, to maintain that balance for a guy that like is thrust into the spotlight again after many years, but also 57 years old. Like there's a balance there for him.
Yeah. And the thing is too, think about Ken's playing era versus today's playing era. Ken's, you practiced, you played, you practiced, you played. Today, you're showing up, you're practicing, you're going to media days, you're doing this, you're shooting a video, you're shooting a practice round, you're going on a podcast, or you have a vlog or whatever it is. So it's such a different, you know, like for what a successful pro disc golfer is today is so much different than what it was when Ken was, when it was just about playing and winning. Like there wasn't all these other side things, these hustles that you know, you have to do or need to do, want to do. And so like trying to make it work for Ken, where his era was very different than today's era is, you know, there's some headwinds here and there.
Oh, that's a very corporate term. Finding the headwinds and tailwinds in your
it's
business.
a disc golf term. Man. I'm a disc golfer.
I get it.
I'm not your corporate.
Hey,
I'm just.
We're not that far out. I named my company Tailwind for a reason. It's in both camps. It's in disc golf and the corporate world.
Yeah.
So what are the chances of by the end of this season of Unstable Discourse, we could have Ken sitting where you are?
Is exactly what the question I was going to ask
To
was.
tell us his perspective on all of this. Give me a percentage.
That's going to be a pretty low percentage.
But you're saying there's a chance.
I'd say you have a better chance of having him come on digitally, but
virtually.
I mean,
we're set up for that now.
Yeah, I hear you guys are, you know, stepping into today.
Yeah,
yep,
that's right.
That is the future.
Standing
of
on the edge of tomorrow. Today.
Everything that I've seen so far from you and from Climo Disc Golf really seems like you're on the right track. I can't wait to throw the discs. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Be paying close attention to the journey, and I'm sure all of us will be. We're all rooting for you and can't wait to see it all happen.
Thank you. And it's been fun to talk about it. I'm still excited, just as excited as I was when Bob asked me to sign an NDA.
We need to start doing that to people.
Yeah.
Hey, sign an NDA. I'll talk to you next week.
I'll talk to you on Monday.
What? But no, thank you guys. And I don't know, Ken Climo, whether you know who he is or don't, go to ClimoDiscGolf.com or hit the YouTube. There's a tremendous video that kind of tells the story of Ken. You know, I can't take any credit for those launch videos that we did, but they were so well done, and tell the story and really set the stage for the brand. And so I'm just hoping that, you know, I can play my role and follow suit and, you know, ultimately do Ken and do disc golf justice here.
To doing Ken. All right. That's enough junk in the trunk.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we got to get into the trivia portion of the night.
Trivia portion of the night.
Jason.
Brought to you by Bag of Tricks Entertainment. That is BAIG of Tricks Entertainment. You can find us on any social media to follow us and come out to our events where you will hear questions like you're about to hear. So last season, remember, we had the Fantasy Frisbee and Analytics Reconnaissance Tournament that carried us through the season. The trivia portion of the night is going to carry us through the season.
Cool.
So here's how it's going to work. Every time I ask a question, I will tell you how many points it's worth, and you will hit your buzzer if you think you know the answer. If you know the answer and you get it correct, you will receive the points that I told you could get. Sheila's going to keep track of those points. When you hit certain thresholds throughout the season, things will happen.
Ooh,
Fun
there's a
things.
bonus system.
Get in the zone.
Wheel spins,
Zone.
taking points. We'll get there.
Okay.
But I'm thinking the first threshold is going to be at 10 points. I don't know if we're going to get there tonight, but we're going to build a base to maybe get there next week. But your first threshold for your first bonus is 10 points.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Dana has a buzzer.
He does.
Is he like a wild card?
So
Oh,
the reason that the guest has a buzzer is because the guest, if they buzz in and get it correct, they get to decide whatever happens to that point. You can give it, you can steal it, or you can shift it. So giving it would be you decide, because you answered it correct, who you want to have that point. Either Alex, Ryan,
Hey,
or
Dane,
Sean.
I'm your dog.
That's what I'm.
Just
That's
remember,
my
I'm your
first
dog.
thought is these two.
Take it means if you get it right, you can decide that they just lose a point for not answering it right. So you can decide, Alex, Ryan, or Sean. Shifting is where things get really interesting, because as they build points, the guest will be able to just say, you know what, because I got that right, I'm going to take a point from Ryan and give it to Sean. I'm going to take a point from Sean and give it to Alex. And they're going to shift
That's
that
a lot
point
of
around.
pressure on the guest.
So that's the three options that you have available to you as the guest during the trivia portion of the night. Does everything I've said make sense so far?
Yes.
Clear as mud.
Let's
Sounds
do
like
this.
I've got quite the bag of tricks.
Yes, yes, he gets it. All right. Your first question in the trivia portion of the night is worth 1 point. Which U.S. president gave a speech at Brandenburg Gate where he asked Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall? That was Ryan.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan is correct. Sheila, give Ryan 1 point. Next question is worth
Did you hear
1
mine?
point.
Michael.
I did.
Okay.
At approximately 665,400 square miles, what is the largest U.S. state by area? Sean.
Alaska.
Alaska is correct. Sheila, give
What is
Sean 1
yours?
point.
Okay.
Next question.
We didn't explain to the listeners. We all have a buzzer,
You all have buzzers in front
which
of you.
we
yes.
can pre-record with whatever sounds we have on them. So mine sounds like this.
Michael.
Sean.
Go.
And Alex.
Meow.
And Dana.
Gust.
Guest.
Next question is worth 1 point to your
Okay.
final score. What chemical element on the periodic table is the only one with just 3 letters in its name? You're out of time. It was tin. Tin is the answer we were looking for.
Air?
No.
Is that an element? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just kidding.
almost.
I almost said
I'm just
gas,
kidding.
so-
Okay,
One
guess.
more 1 point question. Which legendary film director is known for making a cameo in 39 separate films?
Meow.
Oh, Alex.
Stanley.
That is incorrect. You're out of time. The answer we were looking for was Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh,
didn't have that.
Alfred
never would have gotten that.
Hitchcock.
I
These
did not
next
have that.
questions will be worth 2 points
Oh,
in your final score. First aired in the mid-70s, which TV show introduced the world to fictional characters Sabrina Duncan, Jill Monroe, and Kelly Garrett? John.
Oh. What the girls in the school? With the old lady that was like the maid.
You're out of time. Anybody else?
can you repeat the question?
Sean's out. First aired in 1976. I said mid-70s, but specifically 1976. Which TV show introduced the world to the fictional characters of Sabrina Duncan, Jill Monroe, and Kelly Garrett?
Michael.
Ryan?
Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels is correct.
What
That's
was I thinking of?
You heard Garrett, and you thought Mrs.
Garrett.
Yep.
And I
that
thought-
show is
The facts of life.
The
Facts of
Facts
Life.
of Life.
You take the good, you take the bad.
Take them both and there you have the facts of life.
All right.
That's the facts of life.
And this next question, I'm going to have 2 of them. That'll be worth 3 points to your final score.
Oh, okay.
Back to back, I have 2 characters from SNL, and you need to tell me which SNL alum brought this character into the world.
Okay.
The first character I have for you is Gene Frankel. Gene Frankel, Gene Frankel, Frenkle.
Can we get a clue? What era?
Some people feel that the skit that this character appears in is the greatest skit to ever appear on SNL. Sketch, sorry.
Meow.
Alex?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell is correct.
Cowbell.
That is the cowbell sketch. He played Gene Frankel in the cowbell sketch.
Gene Frankel sounded like the character that was
3
like,
points for that one.
and gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah.
You know that
yeah.
character?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That is Stuart Smalley.
I couldn't tell you what the name was, but
Stuart
Yeah.
Smalley.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
One more. Some people feel that this is the greatest sketch to ever appear on SNL. What alum brought to life the character Matt Foley?
Meow.
Oh, that's Alex.
That is Chris Farley.
Chris Farley is correct.
Matt Foley.
Great job. It's,
Living
no,
in
that's
a Van
Living in a
Down
Van
Of
Down
course,
by
of course,
the
of course, of
river. Great job. All right, let's get our points total for the night. Where's we at?
Wow, Alex really came on strong.
Alex 6, Ryan 3, Sean 1. So we're going to roll those points into the next episode.
Okay.
It sounds like Alex is going to hit the 10-point threshold first, but it's anybody's game. It's early.
It's a new era for Team Tailwinds.
Yeah.
Time to change my nickname to FP, baby.
That's right. That's
FP.
right. And once again, that was the trivia portion of the night brought to you by Bag of Tricks Entertainment. That is BAIG of Tricks Entertainment. Find us on any social media. If you want to come see me, I'm in Downers Grove. Tuesdays, 7 p.m. at Alter Brewing, Downers Grove. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Cellar Door. Come and have fun with me. Thanks for hanging out tonight.
Hell yeah. I'm so glad that that's back and it's evolved. That is not that is not what the trivia portion of the night used to be. This is cooler. Props to you. Thank you for doing that.
Very cool.
Newer, improved.
I am so
Stronger.
stoked that Dana did not
Little
have to
yellow.
steal points from me,
Yeah.
because that's what would have happened
That would
for
have
sure.
absolutely 100% happened. Yes.
Ooh.
I still don't really know the rules. Is it
Gust.
That's okay.
maybe next season?
Yeah, maybe next season.
Yeah. You might be back before this season's over.
Yeah, we'll see.
But on that note, thanks again for being here. Always a treat. We love you. And listeners, thanks for listening. If you're still here with us, it's been a long ride, so thank you. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe and all that. Actually, this is we usually say that as a throwaway comment, but now you actually should go follow us on YouTube.
Yeah. Find us.
That's a new thing.
It's
At
there.
Unstable Discourse Podcast. You'll get notified when we put up those new episodes. And good to be back.
Yep. Feels good. Feels like home.
I don't know what we have planned for the next episode, but I have a feeling Sheila does.
Mhm.
In the meantime, keep it on the fairway.
See ya,
Y'all be good.
Dana.
Gust.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Unstable Discourse is produced by Sheila Callahan. Edited by Ryan Fancher. Beats provided by Alex Seminary. And produced in association with Unstable Disc Golf Gear. Look good, feel good, play good.
Unstable Discourse is a Top Secret Studios production. Nerds.
I am pretty leaky.